Hey, welcome to Coffee Connect, everyone. Good to see all of your smiling faces. I know we got a small group this morning. I was just sharing with Dave. I was at a live event this morning here in Cincinnati, where there was probably, I don't know, six or eight other coffee connectors that were at the live event. So I suspect because it didn't end until 9:30, well, they were still going at 9:30. They were wrapping up, but assuming they didn't get out of there until 9:35, 9:40, they might not have made it home on time or to where they needed to get logged in. So hopefully they'll get back and they'll watch the recording. This has been a topic. Today's topic, as far as what are we doing for the rest of this year? What are we doing to plan for 2025? This has come up on several different occasions. Cleveland area networking, we talked about it for a little bit when it's come up in Coffee Connect. I shared with Dave my Monday morning motivation call from Chris Koob, where there was about 400 of us on for the business. The topic was, what are you doing to finish the year strong, right? And start 2025 in a great position, which was kind of crazy because we don't ever know what those topics are going to be until Monday morning when we log in. But it aligned perfectly, I think, with what we were going to talk about. And so, uh, you know, excited. Reach out to Dave. I think he had a lot of valuable knowledge and information and experience with this type of topic. So was hoping that he was going to help me with it. Instead, Dave, being the true leader that he is, right, said, "Hey, I can put that together, right?" And threw it all together, sent me an information on it, and I was like, "I didn't expect you to do that, but I really appreciated it, and so glad that he has done what he's done for us this week, guys." So without any further ado, let's give it up for Dave Scuggling, who's going to lead us through finishing strong and starting smart for 2025, guys.
Good morning. Thanks, Rodney. It's all about perception. I thought I was just giving feedback and some information. And next thing it's like, this is great, just use it. So anyway, I also want to thank Rodney because somewhere between 11 o'clock last night and 4 a.m. this morning, I recognized his hidden message in this cover slide. At first, I just saw finish strong, start smart. And it wasn't until Dr. Sarah actually kind of prompted, I think, that wake up because she goes, last week, I changed my presentation at 2 a.m. and rewrote the whole thing. And did it turn out okay? So I realized when I woke up out of pretty dang sound sleep that there was really something very significant in that. And that was opportunity and planning. And everything, whether it's a finish or a start, is tied into all that. So that's going to be kind of the theme throughout here. Those two things and whatever you do will give that extra boost of rocket fuel, just stick-to-itiveness, whatever it might be. I truly believe that in kind of seeing that hidden message, identifying and leveraging opportunities, and that takes all things. It's not just sales or job opportunities, but all opportunities that can help you do what you're trying to do. Whether it's planning, pre-game is how Rodney set it up, but in-game planning, a continual improvement or looking, evaluating are the things that I think are important, still important to my vision. Commitment to that vision. I guess the whole point here is you can have quarterly goals, you can have monthly goals. If they're set by other people, you probably don't have full buy-in, but if they fit with your vision and what you're trying to accomplish in your life, that's going to get the synergies. And then, again, following through is really that tied all together are the keys that is going to have sustainable success. So Rodney, I think, will or has put into the chat room 2 documents that you all can pull up at your convenience. One is nothing more than something called a quarterly success and growth exercise. And it's just a list of questions that I would suggest you look at on a quarterly basis and see where do you fit? Where does it fit with where you're trying to go? And it might help you do some course correction or reestablish that your course is really on target. And the other is some clarity break information. The term clarity break was first used in book form anyway by Gino Wickman, who is the author of Traction. You may have heard of the Entrepreneur's Operating System, or EOS. And Gino is somebody I've got to know through some other opportunities. He, along with a lot of other gurus of success, have always talked, you need to work on your business and stepping away from it. So one of the pages just highlights why a clarity break is useful, and then there's some questions associated with it. The third document, or the third piece of that document, is something that they use in the EOS, which just helps you say, here's my 1-year goals, here's some quarterly significant objectives. They call them rocks, things that are immovable, that are really important, and issues that are associated with it. So those are the documents. At your leisure, pull them. If you have questions later on, please let me know. Let's see if this did. Okay, finishing strong. I had to do a shout out for our Cleveland team, but realistically, I think the Guardians story, which I will say the Indian story, I'm still a believer in the old guys, really sets the stage well for how this whole presentation, the ideas in it, are effective, and how the success of the Guardians this year showcases what we'll be talking about. I mean, let's look at the story. And if you're not baseball fans, sorry, but there is the message here. They have a first-year manager, never managed before, after one of the probably the most outstanding managers in major leagues in the last 20 years retired. They have 8 rookies on their current lineup, and that doesn't count all the rookies that came up, came down, went left, went right, got traded. So it's a very young team. It's always been one of the youngest teams in major leagues for a few years. There's no high-priced purchased talent. You know, we have one of the lowest payrolls. We haven't gone out and bought an Aaron Judge or a Paul Goldschmidt or somebody of that type. And we're in the toughest division in Major League Baseball. We had 3 teams that made the playoffs. Before, it was the weakest division, and for whatever reason, that's the scenario. What was their secret? And I think this is where it kind of ties into the rest of the presentation. They had a vision that they all bought into. Vision, I will say, is probably the most critical thing of anything today. They had support from not only their managers and their coaches, but also the players supported the vision and each other. They had a positive environment. If you've ever watched any of their games and see whether it's been on the national circuit or here in Cleveland, they truly appear to have fun. They really are enjoying themselves. And all right, maybe I'll admit that having the best bullpen in the major leagues had a major influence on it, but that's still minor to what the presentation is all about. You don't necessarily have to have on your team a great bullpen, but it doesn't hurt. So when you look at finishing strong, you can look over the next, 90 days to try to close outstanding proposals. You can look to prospect for things that can close in 90 days, those quick low-hanging fruits. You can complete other important things that are on your to-do list for the end of the year. You can even look to say, how do I use my time better? Whether it's prioritizing, whether it's messaging, whether it's delegating, outsourcing. But to me, creating and refining your vision and aligning your goals and keeping your eyes wide open for opportunities and having a tribe to support you will produce the real sustainable success. So that's the message for finishing strong. Planting seeds for success. Jan Mallett inspired this picture. Many of you, well, I hope many of you know her as a garden guru. She is a member. She hasn't been on a regular basis recently, but not only has Jan shared how to create successful gardens with me, but she also shared some of her secrets and how she's created, and I've helped her create her own successful business. And whether it's a garden or your personal success, your business success, I think 3 things kind of stand out: what to plant, where to plant, when to plant. And if you think about those, just as an example, what to plant. I've heard so many people in transition using the job search side say, and I'll use a finance people. Well, I can be a VP of finance. I can be a director of finance. I can be a controller. I can be director of accounting, and the list 7 or 8 things. And then you go, well, what do you like doing? I hate closes at month end or quarter. I don't really want the numbers. I want well, okay, you can do them, but what do you want to plan in the job search that are going to get people excited about the things you truly want to do? So is it corn, beets, beans? Is it underground plants? Is it tall plants? So understanding what you can do a lot of different things. And the same thing with where to plant. If you don't identify who your know, like, and trust people are, back from an earlier video, that really are there to support you, and what the market is, what's your unique selling proposition, your USP, and that, just for those aren't familiar, it's that unique benefit that identifies you, your company, your service, your brand, that enables you to stand out from others. That's really where to plant. If you have that, then you can say, who has needs for what is most important for me? And then when to plant, again, I would say that kind of takes a full 360. From a sales perspective, you want to start planting seeds even before they have a need, because as you know, it takes 7 to 8 sales touches before somebody. But if you're looking to close, like your end, it's really important to know who has a need for it now. And oftentimes we spend tons of energy on stuff that doesn't bear fruit, to use another plant analogy. So it's important to understand that. And I guess kind of wrapping this piece up a little here is that when I called Jan and asked her to be part of this and kind of share some of the planting things, she goes, I'd really like to be here, but I have to complete one of my significant fourth quarter goals. And it kind of came as a shock when she said that. She's at a marina right now, purchasing a boat, or making sure her husband likes the boat that she wants to purchase for him or for them. So, and then hopefully take it out to test drive it or test float it, whatever boaters do. So that's why she can't be here today. She understands what's important in her life, and she's going from there. Making 2025 your best year yet. And I chose those words intentionally because you can have a good year, but and that's okay. But if you really want it to be your best, it comes back to what the slide shows: specificity and clarity. And let me ask the question, has anybody found it easier to find something in a murky pond than a clear pond? That just kind of gives you the idea that the more specificity you can have of what you're doing and where you want to get, it's going to be important. So the two things here that I would keep in mind, if you're looking to say, I really want 2025, not just to be better, but best, is what does your best year yet look like? You know, where are you and where do you want it to be for 2025? And most importantly, is it aligned with your long-term vision? And that's, you know, we tend to, and I found myself doing it, when I was in a company, it was always about the goals that were set for me, or if I was a manager, some I got to manage and change a little bit, but it was always set in front of me. So if I wasn't happy with those, I still had to do them. If you're in business or if you're in job search, you have the ability to say, okay, this is what I like. This is my, you know, my concept of long-term happiness, and move forward with it and then fit things to it. So those two things, what does it look like in as much specificity, and is it aligned? And if you don't have a vision, you know, that would be something, again, take the time to bridge it out. If not 10 years, at least 3 years, you know, leverage that to that point. Any questions at this point, since it's a small group? Let me just ask, anything jump out to say that's a bunch of BS, Dave? Or if not, let me move on. This is again in honor of Rodney, and it does have message to it. plotting a course, this, if you do have a vision, you kind of know where you're going. What's your present situation? Where do you want to get to? When do you want to get there? Kind of see that there's some needed numbers or dates and things. And are you headed in the right direction? If you look at present situation, if your comment is, I'm on a ship in the water, you're correct, but it doesn't really help you as much as I'm in the Indian Ocean and I'm within shooting distance that the enemies could hit my vessel. You have a different perspective when that comes up. Where do you want to get to? I chose this slide specifically for that. If you think about most pictures that show you heading somewhere in presentations, it's a road. And can anybody tell me what's the difference between a body of water and a road? Any thoughts? Yep, Jeff. With a
You go
road,
lots of different directions.
Yep, you only can go forward or backwards. I mean, you can make turns, but you're only forward or backwards. It puts bumpers on what you can do. But when you look at water, you have 360 degrees to try to figure out where you are and where you want to get to. So you can end up circling around a lot. And a story I hear a lot when I ask people that I help in transition or I help as business owners or key execs, where do you want to get to? What I'll hear is the example of, it'll be vague or general. And for instance, if you're in a room, if you're all in rooms and not outdoors, if you think of where you're going, pick one of your walls as the direction you want to go, whether it's front of you, behind you, left or right just now. Can you tell me if in that wall, on that wall, you're at the top or the bottom of the wall? Can you tell me if you're in the left top corner, the right top corner, if you said top? That's the specificity that I've heard people say, well, I want to move south because I hate Cleveland weather. Great. Do you want to end up in Juarez, Mexico, Key West, or somewhere that's kind of been in between Cleveland and that, and maybe Asheville, North Carolina, or something of that type? But going south will get you south, but it doesn't necessarily get you to what you're trying to do and accomplish. When you want to arrive is probably the one thing I hear from a business owner, probably more so than job search, as an undocumented item. Business owners can always, if things are going okay, can always punt. It's like, I want to get there by September 30th. It's October 1st. I still am having a good year. I've got other things. I can move that date back, or I don't have to address this employee issue. I don't have to. Your overall success and happiness really is to say, if it's important, and I use that term rock on your goals and objectives, it should be something that's unmovable, that is really important enough that you're not going to change course and that you will succeed in attaining it. So that arrival date, you can have some wiggle room. I mean, it's like a birth. Your expected delivery date is October 25th. Now, if you happen to be a week ahead or a week or so behind, you're still in the window of acceptable. If you're way early or way late, that your doctor's going to have to do some things that aren't necessarily normal. And then, are you headed in the right direction? If it's positive, if you see everything's aligned, what are the positive reinforcements that are in place that will continue that in as fast and as straight a line as possible? And if you're not, what course corrections are you looking to make? And then, to me, in all of this, plotting the course and moving forward, to me, here's where having an accountability team or partner, having a tribe, is so important. If you're job searching alone, even in a job search group, you're with a lot of the same people. Find a group of people that can overlay all the things that's necessary to make you feel comfortable and energized. If you're in business, I was in part of a regional bank peer group before nationwide banking, which gave us an expansive wealth of knowledge. I was in a National Independent Staffing Association when I had my staffing businesses. I was in a small president's group, and all of those aligned with helping me without having to come up with all the answers. So to me, that's really critical for all of you. Who's your tribe that you can count on? And this group is a great spot. If you don't have somebody from here and you don't have somebody from someplace else, please reach out to Rodney or any of the people here. More than likely, if they can't help you be that person, they can tell you somebody in the group that can. All right. The one and only breakout session. I'd like you, and Rodney, we can kind of do this any which way you want, but this was where the homework was supposed to kind of lead to. Picture yourself on December 31st, 2025. You just had your best year yet. Describe to your group in as much detail as possible what it looks like, feels like, sounds like, tastes like, smells like, or any other like you'd like to put into that.
Perfect.
So I'm not sure, Rodney, how many do we have right now?
So if we go to 2 breakout rooms, there'll be 5 in one, 4 in another.
Okay, that would work, I guess. And if that's the case, then how about 10 to 12 minutes?
And you and I are not assigned to those, so I mean it'll be
Okay.
more. We can go to 3. It'll boost him up a little bit. Yeah, we'll go for about 10 minutes.
All right. Have fun, guys. Okay. Can you all read that cartoon? Is it okay? I put that in there because that hopefully is one of the bits of wisdom that you took away from the conversations. I use the term bits because I would like to make sure that we stay on schedule. Don't want to hear 5-minute dissertations, but if there's a couple of people that would like to share 15 to 30-second bits of wisdom from their group, I'd love to get that on the recording. Any takers?
I can.
Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, okay. I was to say in our team, we really talked about just continuing to think bigger. So I think at least I could speak for myself, you start at where your bar is, but to continue to raise that bar. So I think we had great conversation about that and the people in our group, at least, being willing to help each other with that and keep asking the questions.
And that's a great way to have a team help you because it's like, okay, every increment, like think of pole vaulting. They don't go by feet, they go by like quarter of an inch or millimeters or whatever. That great idea. Anybody else?
Yeah, I shared that. I think I'm going into this year, next year, with more clarity, and I think I've taken a lot more time to prepare for this. And maybe I'm not where I want to be in 2024, right? But the granularity of week to week and month to month, right, is hopefully going to get me to where 2025 obviously is my best year. And so hopefully I laid that out fairly well for the folks that were in my group as far as what I was wanting to do.
Okay. Well, but let's move on. Just a couple more things I wanted to kind of just leave you with more than anything else. Catalysts. And what are they? If you think about it, this whole area of success in personal or professional life, and that's where I keep coming back. If you don't have your vision surrounding you as a person, the professional really doesn't matter. But for positive change, awareness, vision, knowledge, efficiency, effectiveness, and desire, and I'll kind of walk backwards. If you hadn't known it, this is for our Cincinnati people. If there was Philadelphia, I'd put a Phillies jersey on him, but he's always known as a Red. P. Rose passed away yesterday. And desire or drive, he's probably, well, heck, his name's Charlie Hustle for his nickname. But that was one of the statement, I'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit to play baseball. That's desire and drive. And everything he did up to the gambling really focused on all that. But the catalyst, I think the two that really are most effective are the bookends, awareness and desire. awareness, again, if you haven't done a personal assessment as part of your clarity break or in the recent past, I'd really urge you to do it. Do you know who you are, how you're wired, whether it's behavioral assessments, whether it's talking to people that you consider people that you know, like, and trust, your accountability team. What is it? And you know things you do well. Oftentimes it's the outside world that helps you say, yes, but this you do well, but you don't like doing, or this is where there's more opportunity for you to find a job, or this is. So awareness and desire, the rest are important. You need to be effective and efficient. Continual learning is always important. But if you think about it, again, back to the guardians, it was their desire and the vision of, we can do this. And they kind of put everything to the side. So when you think about 2025 year end, or even better yet, if you can go out to 2027, 8, and say, what does it look like? Mine keeps going year after year. I'd like to be playing with a grandchild. And I also don't have a little caveat that says, in the right order. One of my sons is married, one isn't. I guess at this point I would take it either way, but you do want to try to be as clear as possible when you're putting things down on paper. So those are some of the things to think about for catalyst positive change. Do you have awareness of what you're good at, your unique selling proposition, and is your vision driving that desire and ability to reach it without a lot of angst? Success. When we talk about this, everybody says, oh, what's the success formula? How is, but if you think about it, it's really the happiness factor. Because success, you can have business success, you can have job success, but it doesn't necessarily bring happiness if you're with a bunch of people that you don't align with, corporate values don't align with you. So when you think of it, again, just some things to put in perspective. Your perception of the current situation, the future, and do you really have a full 360 like the ocean or a body of water as to what's available? Your perspective. I know that one of my people that I thought was the most ugly person and different than me, because he was of a different political party, we ended up coaching a women's softball team, and we became good friends because we found commonality, and that perspective changed. We talked about knowledge and how if you don't continue to learn, you really get stagnant. Understanding what's important and the changes in life, knowing when those, I'll call them steps. Rarely does anybody have a gradual path up or down. It's usually steps. And when those steps happen, are you quick enough to understand them so you can jump 2 steps in a positive way, or you can reduce the downward motion by maybe 1 or 2. So awareness, but connectivity. In all the things I do, and primarily working with individuals from a business perspective and from a job search, most business owners don't share with their teams what's going in their head. They'll share their mission, they'll share their goals, but all the angst and things. So that connectivity, we all face that. Do you have people that you can connect with that, again, the angst is usually never as big as you let the gremlins on your shoulders tell you it is. And the connectivity is, if you say, these are where I'm looking, I would like a job in this area that will allow me to spend time with my 5-year-old and take her to this, take her to that, or my grandchild. That's where the connectivity will help you find it. You don't have to do it alone. And that leads to the last thing, leverage. If you have the connectivity and you know what you want and you have the awareness, you can leverage things better. And it's not taking advantage of, it's just making that message available to others. So kind of wrapping it all up, steps to make your 2025 best year yet. I've mentioned before, really get to know yourself, understand who you are, what makes you tick. Do you have an Apple system or do you have a Microsoft system as your operating system? What are your strengths? What are those core programs that help you move forward, know what you want and want to get where you want to get to and when you want to do it. Know where you are on your journey. Ask other people if they see you in that same spot. Use the radar tracking of others. Ask questions, never stop learning. Something we hadn't talked about, look for the common ground with everyone. The more you can find commonality, whether it's at a networking event where you can research if there's names in advance, more than likely you can find, and that might be an exercise later, Rodney, for us. How many things does each person have in common? It may be that you find out they went to your school or the same conference school, or that they were a vet, or that they're left-handed, or that they talk too much, or that they like shooting guns, or whatever it might be, but you have something in common. So that's when you find the common ground, you can expand and leverage so much better. And in doing that, especially for job seekers, share your expertise. The one thing I have found as a job seeker, and others have told me they feel like they're asking and they're kind of begging, or they're asking for something from somebody. If you share your expertise and showcase your unique selling proposition in any of these events, you're going to give them a reason to want to talk to you. And even if it doesn't lead to a position, you're opening up doors, whether that expertise is within a charitable group, whether it's job search groups, however it is. That expertise will help you, and I'm assuming will help everybody achieve more of their vision, because it just brings that tribe together. And then again, leverage knowledge, skills, and support of others. That's probably, again, another gremlin thing. We feel like, I don't want to bother Lamar and asking him about this, or, Dr. Sarah said she'd help, but she also said she's busy and she makes me hit a button to get 30 minutes of her time. I don't want to bother her. Worst case, they say no. So leverage that, ask. But most importantly of all this, enjoy the journey. If you're not doing that, you can't satisfy your long-term best year yet. It will never happen if you're not enjoying it along the way. So with that said, I had made a comment in September earlier that the offer still stands. If anybody has questions about where they are and where they want to try to go, or information about the ideas of entrepreneur operating system, or just in general, connect on LinkedIn and reach out. Happy to help. I think I've told most people, I see Karen there and Jeff and half a dozen others, that if you become a burden, I'll tell you and I'll charge you. If not, I'm just happy to help the group. So thank you. Hope you found this useful. Rodney, back to you.